All right, well, thank you everybody for coming here today to celebrate and commemorate the late Tom Saylor's, former city manager's, really his life and his history and his love here at Convention Hall, specifically saving Convention Hall back in about the early 2010s. And so I'm the current city manager, Gerald Gilbert. I wanted to say a few words, and then we have a lot of folks here, including Nancy, Tom's daughter. And so let me just first say, Tom had an eventful city management and tenure. He was city manager here from 1969 to 79, and during that time, a lot of things got done in the city of Enid and got built. Specifically, City Hall. The building we're in today, Convention Hall, which Tom helped save and get renovated into the fantastic facility it is today, used to be City Hall prior to 1976 and before. So in 1976, a new administration building got built over at 401 West Owen K. Garriott, as well as a fire station across the street, a service center out at Poplar, and Memorial Hospital used to be where the police department is. In fact, the police department, the city bought the building during Tom's tenure and renovated it into the current police department that it is today. So many, many things happened there. And over time, Tom lived in this community with his wife, Ruth Ann, and his children, and has raised a family here, and was always interested in the city. And I will say I am thankful to know that I got to know Tom just a little bit as I was growing up as a city employee. And I had become city manager in January of 2015. And I remember I got to know Tom, I believe it was one day when I went over to where he had an office in the old Champlin Messrs. Bowers building. And I'd gone over there actually to talk to Jack Bowers about something, or maybe it was Jay. And they introduced me, and Tom had an office there. So when I learned that, and I think I'd already known that he was a former city manager, and I was brand new, I knew I needed a lot of advice, a lot of mentorship and help. So I latched on to him a little bit and went over there and talked to him a few times. And sadly, I think he passed away in about the October of 2015 timeframe, and I lost a mentor, and the city lost someone who had been a great leader for the city. And his family lost a great husband and father. And anyway, so I wanted to just talk about Tom a little bit. He graduated high school and came to Enid came to Enid in the 8th grade. He graduated in 1957, and he went to work for the city of Enid in 1963. And he became the youngest city manager. I've left out that fact. The youngest city manager at 29, the youngest in the state at that time. And I will say that still, I don't know if anybody's ever been a city manager younger than that, but I will say there's not very many that at that age. And so clearly he had aptitude, he had capability. I know that he worked for the previous city manager as an assistant city manager. In any event, I've talked a lot. Tom was instrumental when the city was looking to figure out what to do with this building. This building had unfortunately become a bit dilapidated. It did not meet modern codes, it didn't meet ADA accessible, it didn't have an elevator. Can you imagine that? I mean, folks sometimes complain because they have to walk from the parking lot to the building. Can you imagine what they would have complained about walking 4 stairs? But in any event, we got an elevator in it. It got renovated, and largely that was due to Tom's efforts and some others in the community working with the current city leadership at that time. And so we've commemorated that with a picture here, with Tom's picture, a write-up, and some coins. But I've talked enough about that. I would like to bring up former City Commissioner Gary Young, who really was the inspiration behind this effort to commemorate what Tom's done. And so, Gary, would you come up here and talk about Tom?
Hello there. Well, I've got very little to say, but first of all, I want to thank the City of Enid and Gerald Gilbert for allowing us to do this. The main point that I would like for the citizens of Enid to know is this building, which got beautiful architecture, and they did a beautiful job of remodeling it inside and making it a useful building again, would not be standing here today had it not be for Tom Sailors, and that is a fact. And anybody that knows very much about what went on with that will agree with me that this building would not be here if it wasn't for Mr. Sailors. And I served 4 years with him. Back then we could serve 4 years only and not repeat ourselves. And we also had citywide voting versus ward voting, which I believe was probably a good policy also. But we got along great, and we had money to spend. Tom accomplished building a lot of buildings that during that 4-year period. And as somebody pointed out a while ago, I believe it was Gerald said, of course, it's easier to get along as a council when you got money to work with. And I'm sure that's true. But we had a really good council serve. Started with 150 members approximately on the committee to save this building, and ended up with about 10 that kept working solid through that to allow it to happen. So Mr. Sailors worked extremely hard, and I can guarantee you, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have this building. So he used to be applauded on many, many things. And when I approached Gerald at first, he gave me no opposition at all. He thought it was a good idea to make this little memorial for Tom, and then the work began. So thank you all very much, and thank the newspaper for giving him this recognition also.
Thank you, Gary. Gary's a former city commissioner that served during the term and worked with Tom and did a lot of productive things, as he mentioned. There's a lot of history in this building, so I think if you get a chance to come down and look around, please do that sometime. I want to invite up now a current city commissioner from Ward 5 who knew Tom. Commissioner Stallings, would you come up here and say a few words, please?
Well, it's easy to say you want to be a city commissioner, but most of us, when we show up, don't really know what that's all about or what's expected of us. I'm the same way. I was a Air Force guy. Showed up here in '74 and flew airplanes out advanced for 6 years and got out and forgot to go home. I grew up in the Deep South, and so I just made this my home. And during the time I was in the Air Force, I knew that Tom Sailors was the city manager, but I didn't really understand what that meant. But I went to work in the oil and gas business after I got out of the Air Force, and I'm sitting in my office in 1985, 86, I can't remember exactly the date, and Tom and Bud Nicholas come in and start talking to me about being a city commissioner. I couldn't figure out why in the world they would be talking to me. Bud was a neighbor, but I couldn't figure it out. So, and I said, I don't really understand. So they said, well, just agree to do it. And I was so intimidated by the fact that these guys were such big figures in the community. I said yes. So I got lucky and got elected. And right after I got elected, Nicholas says, I want you to go on a little road trip with us. And I said, where are we going? He said, well, I don't know. We're going to go over to eastern Oklahoma, Grand Lake. And I said, so who all's going? He said, just me and Tom Sailors. And I said, well, is this going to be some sort of an indoctrination? He said, no, we're just going to kind of tell you what you need to know to be a city commissioner. And so we did, and we spent a couple of days, and both of them were very helpful, Tom especially, and I had no idea what to expect, but they both gave me their time and their energy and imparted a lot of knowledge. And I've been a city commissioner a couple of times. I'm in my third term, and I learned a lot from Tom, and he's missed a lot, and I just I know there's a lot of things that they've talked about that he touched, Many of them were before I got here, but even after he stepped down as city commissioner, he was still involved, and he told people, he helped people and gave advice, and he's missed, always will be missed, and I was lucky to have known him, so thank you.
Well, I just want to say again, we're very fortunate to have had the service of Tom Saylor, selfless service, not only during his term as a city employee and the city manager, but clearly he loved this city. And so even in the early 2010s, in 2010, 2011, that time frame when it was announced that the old convention hall needed help and it would either be torn down, well, it was talked about it was going to be torn down. That's what Gary Young was talking about. Tom sprang into action. So again, leadership long after his service was over as a formal city employee. But we're very fortunate to have two of his two daughters here today. So I'm going to ask them to come up here one at a time. We just missed having his wife. I think she lives in Florida now, but I hear she might be moving back to Enid, Oklahoma. So that'd be great. I think right now, Nancy, I'd like to ask you to come on up and say a few words about your dad.
Hi, I am Nancy Killam, and this is our grandbaby, and her name is Saylor, after Dad, so this is his namesake. I wanted to say thank you to Gerald. Every single time I see Gerald, he compliments Dad and has great memories of him. We're just in the city of Enid too, of course, we're just very, very, very honored. This is beautiful. I do remember growing up in this building, Santa Claus as a little girl, and just Dad's office, and just different aspects of it since I was little. And I feel like I grew up in this building. I feel like I grew up a member of the city of Enid, actually. Dad would have been very honored and very proud of this. And we just thank you very much. He told me once that in life that there's that one thing that you want to fight for, and this was his love. The city of Enid was the love of his life, his family, and the city of Enid, and he really, really lived that. Many tables full of budgets. We are very, very thankful. It's beautiful, and it's such a lovely way to honor him. So thank you again.
Want to introduce everybody to this grandchild?
Oh, yes. It is. Her name is Saylor, so she is named after Dad. So, yeah, our first grandchild. So, can I say hi? And then I do have our daughters, or my daughter Emily and Katie, and then their significant others, husband and fiance. So they want to say hi.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll talk on behalf of all of his grandchildren. I'm Katie, and this is Emily, and then we have a brother, Matt. We also have two cousins in Florida with my mom's sister, Brooke, and my cousins are Jake and Anna. But I can say on behalf of all of the grandchildren how completely precious our grandfather is to us. He was one of my very favorite people in the whole world. Obviously why I named her after him. Just proud of him. He was always working so hard, and he loved Enid. He loved Enid not more than us, but he loved Enid. But he did work hard on this, and I certainly remember I graduated from Enid High School in 2011, so I certainly remember this being a very big project. All over the dining room table, all over the kitchen table, walking around Enid trying to get support to save this wonderful building. My husband played Enid High basketball here. There's just been a lot of people that have walked through this building for many generations and many years, and so it was definitely a very special building to Enid to save for our history. And so very proud of the work that everybody put in to do the saving of this building, and proud of my sweet papa. So thank you guys so much for putting together this beautiful afternoon and this beautiful plaque that gets to stay here forever in honor of my grandfather and our grandfather. And thank you guys for loving him too. You guys were so neat. What a generation.
Yeah.
You guys just stuck close, and you guys just worked hard on things. And I think that we can all take a lesson from that. Enidites moving forward, working hard to save
Yes.
our history and our heritage. So thank you guys so much.
Well, that really concludes what we wanted to do today to remember Tom's contributions. We do have this nice picture with some information about Tom and what he did, and now we have this video to capture somebody that was a giant in the history of the city of Enid and contributed to the wonderful things we have today. So with that, thank you everybody. Thank you family and commissioners and former commissioners, everybody coming out. We'll see you around Enid. Bye now.